Grace Kelly. Is there anything about the High Noon actress that hasn't been said? Well, apparently there is. Join us as we take a closer look at how Kelly left Hollywood behind to become a full-fledged member of a royal family. You might think you know everything there is to know about the highly revered and critically acclaimed actress, but after this video, you'll look at Grace Kelly in a new light. Grace Kelly's auspicious beginnings. Kelly was born November 12, 1929, at Hahnemann University Hospital in Philadelphia. She came from a wealthy and highly influential Catholic Irish-American family. Her father, John B. Kelly, was a three-time Olympic gold medal recipient for sculling and owned a profitable brickwork business widely known on the Eastern Seaboard. He was the Democratic nominee for mayor of Philadelphia in 1935, but he lost by the smallest margin in the history of Philadelphia. John later served on the Fairmount Park Commission. During the Second World War, he was appointed by Franklin Delano Roosevelt as National Director of Physical Fitness. His brother Walter Kelly was a famous star of the vaudeville scene who worked with Paramount Pictures and MGM. His older brother George was a Pulitzer Prize-winning director, screenwriter, and dramatist. Grace's mother, Margaret Mayer, hailed from German ancestry. She taught PE at the University of Pennsylvania and was the first female coach for the school's women's athletic department. She modeled briefly when she was young, but after getting married to John in 1924, she shifted focus and became a housewife until her children were of school age, after which she started participating in several different civic organizations. Grace grew up in a relatively small and close-knit Philadelphia Catholic community. She was baptized into the faith and attended a parish school called St. Bridget's in East Falls, a suburb of Philly. She later attended Ravenhill Academy, a prestigious Catholic girls' school. While receiving her education there, she modeled for charity events alongside her sisters and mother. In 1942, when she was 12, she played the lead role in a play produced by the old Academy players, Don't Feed the Animals. 5 years later, she graduated from another prestigious private school called Stevens School. While there, she participated in the school's dance and drama programs. She was rejected by Bennington College in 1947 after her math scores proved less than impressive. And despite her parents' wishes, she decided to dive headfirst into her dream of becoming a Hollywood actress. Her father was especially displeased by this. He would even call being an actor a slim cut above being a streetwalker. Clearly, Grace Kelly came from money, and with that came many social graces. But even though she already had wealth and status, it wasn't enough. Much like many other young girls of her era, she pictured herself someday being a princess. But little did she know one day she would actually become one. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to FactsVerse for more. And stick around for a lot more about Grace Kelly. After graduating high school in 1947, she struck out on her own and found herself in New York City, lured by its bright lights and theater scene. She worked as a model before making her debut in 1949 on Broadway. Around this time, she also briefly appeared on television. Not satisfied with her work opportunities in New York, she relocated to Southern California in search of more prolific acting work in motion pictures. In 1951, she appeared in her first film, 14 Hours, at age 22. It was a bit part. The following year, she scored the role of Amy Kane in High Noon, a Western that saw her performing opposite Gary Cooper and Lloyd Bridges. The film did well at the box office and was well received by critics. The next year, she appeared in another popular feature called Mogambo, in which she acted alongside Clark Gable and Ava Gardner. It was arguably one of the best features produced by MGM. And while Grace received much attention for her appearance in High Noon, her performance in Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder established her as one of Hollywood's biggest starlets. She delivered another standout performance in 1954's Rear Window, in which she played the character Lisa Fremont opposite James Stewart. Grace Kelly's marriage to Prince Rainier. Buxom actress Grace Kelly was well on track to earn her rightful place among Hollywood elites. But in 1956, shortly after winning her Academy Award for Best Actress for her powerful performance in 1954's The Country Girl, she ended up trading her status as show business royalty, as well as all the hard-earned cash, for a real royal title when she married Prince Rainier III of Monaco. This past March, BBC's Channel 5 put out a documentary titled Grace Kelly, The Missing Millions, which detailed how the actress had to pay an astonishing $2 million dowry to the royal house of Grimaldi before marrying Prince Rainier. Adjusted for inflation, that equates to about $20 million today. Kelly reportedly had to combine her acting fortune with her inheritance to get these funds together before tying the knot. The two met while Grace was filming The Swan. Shortly after meeting, the couple began secretly exchanging love letters, and eventually they were engaged to be wed. While her nuptials were called the wedding of the century by the press, Kelly herself called it the carnival of the century. And with that, the tone of her marriage was set. There were many reports that Kelly felt isolated and lonely in her royal marriage. She once even warned Princess Diana of Wales about how isolating it was being a princess. There were rumors of affairs and squashed career ambitions not long after she got married. Before she even walked down the aisle, Grace reportedly had to ask MGM for permission to get wed. Back in those days, major studios had an ironclad grip on their stars. They even went as far as to dictate who they should and shouldn't date. At the time of her marriage, she was still under contract, and that meant they still had a significant amount to say about how her public image would be presented. It's said that MGM felt like Grace's relationship with the prince was nothing more than a publicity stunt. Grace wasn't fazed by the prince's royal status. When Prince Rainier was dating Grace Kelly, she refused to let him flaunt his royal title when visiting her and her family. According to Grace's sister, Lizanne Kelly Levine, there was a time when the prince came over for dinner at Grace's apartment in Manhattan in which Kelly made him do the dishes. But even though she acted as if she wasn't all that impressed by his royal title, when they first met, she was still engaged to her longtime boyfriend, Oleg Cassini. Promptly after meeting Rainier, however, she dumped the poor guy. While that might sound a bit harsh, evidently they were never going to get married in the first place because of Kelly's family's disapproval of him. Not only did Grace have to come up with a $2 million dowry, but she also had to take a fertility test to prove she could pop out royal heirs. Prince Rainier insisted that after getting married, he would raise a family. Once it was proven beyond a doubt Kelly was fertile, Rainier presented her with a ring. Even though Grace ultimately became his bride, he reportedly first set his sights on Marilyn Monroe. Greek shipping mogul Aristotle Onassis, one of Rainier's trusted advisors, suggested that marrying the blonde bombshell would boost the reputation of Monaco. At the time, Monaco was struggling financially. So under Rainier, the nation was turned into a tax haven to lure in affluent investors and tourists. But after Prince Rainier approached Monroe about the proposal, she apparently laughed at him and called him Prince Reindeer. Grace tried to return to Hollywood. After 6 years of being married to the prince and enjoying, or more than likely loathing, the royal treatment, Kelly had planned to return to the big screen by appearing in yet another Hitchcock film, Marnie. The palace announced she would be returning to Hollywood, but also claimed it would likely be the last film she'd ever make. The same day as the press release, Hitchcock's press team issued a statement confirming her participation. But a few months later, Monaco Palace announced that Kelly had dropped out of negotiations, citing scheduling conflicts. It was later revealed Kelly actually dropped out because of tax issues. France and Monaco had a treaty that had lapsed at the time that ultimately affected the taxes and revenue of the nation. Rainier felt it would have been a bad political move to leave the country to join his wife in the US, so he put a stop to the whole idea. While her marriage looked like a fairy tale, Kelly's actual marriage to Prince Rainier wasn't quite as magical. Within a month of exchanging their vows, Rainier reportedly had multiple mistresses. It's also been said he was quite tyrannical and controlling as a husband. Grace hated being a royal, not only because of her husband's infidelity, but also because she detested being surrounded by decadents and all of Rainier's less than reputable friends. But not only did the prince cheat, but reportedly so did Grace. If it matters though, she likely only sought the comforts of other men outside her marriage in response to her husband's unfaithfulness. She allegedly carried on affairs with stars like Frank Sinatra and Marlon Brando. On September 13, 1982, Grace had a stroke while driving in a mountain range between France and Monaco. As a result, she drove off a steep cliff and fell 120 feet down the mountainside. She was rushed to Monaco Hospital with injuries to her thorax and brain, as well as a fractured femur. She died the following night after Prince Rainier made the decision to take her off life support. Now it's time to hear from you. Let us know some of your favorite memories of the late, great Grace Kelly. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.